Hey guys, what's up? Charlie Moore here with Kush, bringing you the next episode of Planting Seeds. This is becoming so much fun, by the way. So this month we are identifying SDG number 7, which is going to be affordable and clean energy. So we have some awesome guests. This is a guest from a blast from the past of mine. I came from the energy sector, from the energy industry, particularly in solar. Dealing with raw materials. And the first person that I really started working with was who we're going to be bringing on as a guest. And it's an absolute honor. And we're going to dive into it a little bit. So I'd love to. And we're real quick before I bring in the introduction to Alex. We're here to learn about the sustainable solutions of what we can be doing tangibly and tactically in our own backyards and how we can develop this into our communities. That's what Planting Seeds is all about. At the same time, we bring in the musicians to bring some entertainment. So it's all a matter of coming together as a collective and learning from each other and being a part of each other. So that's what Planting Seeds is about. I don't know if I ever said that before on the previous episodes, but it's important that we understand why we're here. It's really a matter of that we're going to get a really high level of education. Alex has a huge past with the solar industry. We pretty much came into the solar industry together. So I'd like to bring Alex Keally on board.
Hey, Charlie.
Hey,
all right.
Finally, face to face after what, 16 years?
as face to face as you get these days, I guess, right?
Oh, so Alex, me and you met, what did we say, 2004?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about how that was like the golden age, or that's at least the growth to that golden age of silicon, right?
Yeah.
So I met Alex because I was looking for broken solar cells to turn into calculator chargers and light chargers. And when we first met, it was broken solar cells, right?
Yeah. I was pretty new at Evergreen. I was a new kid out of business school, and my first few months trying to figure out how to make an impression and walking through the factory thinking, man, they're throwing away all this stuff. There's got to be some way to make value out of it. And then I got connected with you and your brother and found out, wow, there are actually people who'll buy this stuff from me. Great.
I remember the first few early points of the logistical little nightmares that we had. Remember, we were first when we were buying them, we were getting them in drums, and we all scattered. And I remember getting some, and they were like, I don't know where the sawdust came from. You could tell me where the sawdust came from. There was sawdust in it, and wrappers from like fast food.
Yeah, it's the trash, right?
Yeah. But we got to the point where we started customizing boxes and shipping it and categorizing and creating a solar cell categorization for off-grade and broken solar cells.
Yeah. And now it's made millions of solar lights around the world on little garden lights. And things, right?
So we had a lot of fun together, and unfortunately we never met face to face. So this is really the first time we're actually seeing each other relatively live. And as you said, as face to face as we can get right now.
Yeah.
So, but it's an honor, and hopefully we do get to meet at some point. We did years and years of business together. It was so much fun. So Alex, tell us about where you are now and what you're up to.
Sure. So left the solar panel manufacturing world when manufacturing in the U.S. became just too difficult. Everyone in China started making solar panels. It really became a national program for them, right? So found that was not the best place to try to compete, and decided I wanted to stay in solar. I wanted to move downstream closer to where the actual projects were being developed, and started with a company called Select Energy and been there since. I think I've been there 11 years now. It's crazy. Or I guess 10 or 11. Yeah, a long time. I don't know. And we develop and install commercial solar. So, think of Walmart roof sort of things, or school roofs, or, parking canopies, things like that. So not like acres and acres in the desert, and not little residential, in between.
And what's so cool about it is that, I can say this almost with confidence, is that you've been through the entire ladder of production operations. You know exactly what goes into producing a solar panel. And even though the technologies are a little different, you guys are making the wafers, making the cells into the panels all in the US. And now you're putting the solar panels out there in these big commercial environments.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool to see, be able to see the industry from beginning to end, and get involved a little bit in everything along the way.
Yeah, I had the easy part. I just had to move it.
You had the easy and rewarding part. You talk about
Yes,
the
I
golden
did.
days of the solar. I'm still waiting to make money in this industry. I don't know.
Oh, I had a lot of fun. I had so much fun in the industry. It was, and we were, like the other day, we were talking about, let's talk a little bit too, how the industry, because it really matured quickly right in front of our eyes. I don't think we both realized like the infancy stage that we got in and how fast it became an adult, so to say. Back then we were talking about how the conferences were big parties and everything, and now it's just much more not.
Well, the first conference I went to was in the basement of a Ramada in Washington, D.C. And that was the whole thing. And it was a bunch of guys in ponytails showing off their, cool gear. There was like one big inverter in the basement. Everyone was crowded around just to look at all the capacitors and whatever was in there. And everyone thought it was really cool. And now, the shows this year, I don't know if there'll be any shows. I don't think there will be any live ones, but there, typically tens of thousands of people go. Everyone's in suits. They're massive. They go on for, just hall after hall. It's total difference from where it was when we started. And it's great to see. And now there's more renewable energy added every year than any other energy source, more than natural gas, which a lot of people don't know, but it's the number one source of new additions to the grid is solar and wind.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's been in the US and worldwide. Sometimes it's like, just ekes it out in the US, but doesn't hit it worldwide. Sometimes it's worldwide and doesn't quite hit it in the US. But for the past 2 years, every quarter, there's companies that track that stuff. And I love it when they come out and show that we're doing more new renewables than gas. And coal, last year, coal went down 30%, which is just a great thing.
Wow.
It's on its death throes right now. And
especially here in the US, it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
And no one's building new. Anyone would be crazy to build new coal. It costs over $3 a watt to build a new coal power plant.
Yeah.
And then you got to buy the fuel, and nobody wants that power. And you can build solar for well less than $3 a watt, and the fuel's free.
Now you can. Now you can. What was it going for? About $9 a watt installed?
When we started, it was crazy. I can't believe if anyone bought
it. There were no lease programs back then. There were no finance programs. That was a straight buy. It was crazy. No, no incentives, no subsidies.
People were dedicated, and it started in the pot fields in California where people wanted to be really off grid. They didn't want anyone to know that they were using electricity, and that's really where it got started. It was all off grid. It was powering grow lights. How cool is that?
That makes a lot of sense when it comes to the cash buys at that time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man. So tell us about. All right. So you said what? Really, you've been with Select for 11 years.
I guess it's 10. So it started in 2010. Yeah.
Dude, time is flying in front of us, man.
I know.
Gee,
it's crazy.
It's not fun. All right. So in 10 years, what have you seen? Because one of the questions I do have for you, actually, doing these installations, okay? So there was always a big concern, still is a big concern, of the lifetime of the solar panels and the maintenance of the solar panels.
Yeah.
So in the 10 years, have you seen that it's not as worrisome as what was projected before back in like the 06, 07 period, or?
Yeah, it's so reliable, and that's why you talked about financing. Now every bank wants to lend a solar project because they think they're really reliable, and it's because there's tons of statistics. And my company, we develop and install. We also operate, maintain, and we have a monitoring, a network operations center where people glued to computer screens looking at 650 growing commercial solar projects all around, encompassing, I don't know, tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 panels. And we're replacing, handful of panels here and there every year. Out of those thousands and thousands, it's just a few, and you replace them. It's not a big deal, Or our service techs know that if they're going out to a site, they just put an extra panel in the back of the truck and can swap it out. Usually it's cracked glass. The thing still operates even. It's got
Oh,
the cracked
really?
glass on it. Yeah.
Really?
It's
Okay.
like a windshield.
Yeah.
It's got the plastic in it, so it cracks, and over time it's going to have problems, but it keeps operating.
That's awesome. I was thinking, to me, my biggest concern was moisture getting in and oxidizing some of the leads on the cells.
Right.
That's what my fail point was, sort of,
Yeah,
So,
well, you're right. You get the cracked glass, and eventually, so moisture's going to find a way in.
yeah, moisture.
Then you got problems.
Yeah,
But,
moisture always finds its way.
Right.
So now, you said over 650 sites that you guys have done in the 10, 11 years?
Yeah, we've, not all of those we've developed. So we've probably developed 500, some on 550 maybe, but we started picking up sites that other developers have installed, and then they sort of walked away. They came in from out of state or whatever, or maybe they went out of business. And so we have a service division that picks those up and takes care of them, because it's, the average business owner or school facility manager or whatever, they don't want to constantly be checking their solar, right? They usually install it and forget it, and they don't look at it for a year, and then they realize, geez, it's been down for months. I should have been watching it,
It's so true, though. It's so true. You don't realize it until it's too late with that. Now, with the servicing, do you find it necessary to clean the panels seasonally, or like does that help increase efficiency enough to do a cleaning?
So our installs are here in New England generally, and the rain does a pretty good job. In some places they're dusty, like we've got some on the edge of a quarry or next to a cement plant. Those will do more cleanings, but for most of them, they'll check them every year, but it's more like maybe every 3 years they'll clean it, and even then it's sort of optional. We'll tell people, here's the cost, and it's going to increase it that much, and sometimes people go for it, sometimes not. So it's in between. I've got them in my house and I've had them for 12 years, I think now, and I've washed them once.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's a pain in the ass to do, right? So
I'm going to presume that you have a typical New England house with a very steep pitch to get up there, right?
Yeah, and so I had to have someone wash my windows, and they happened to have a really long pole with a brush on the end of it. I said, "Do those panels too." And
there you go. Exactly. That's awesome. So tell us about, what would you say would be your most memorable project that you guys did, and what made it memorable for you?
Oh boy, that's a tough question. I don't know. I think the projects that I've done just keep getting more and more complicated somehow. So it's like,
you like challenges.
Yeah, I like challenges, and I keep breaking new ground, and I keep getting ribbed by my colleagues, like, wow, that's going to be, you're going to break your own record and now have the new longest running project development cycle ever. I've got one with a university that has a major research and design facility that has 4,000 scientists on it. they're all working on top secret stuff. So you go in and they, take your cell phone away. You can't take any pictures there. It's on an Air Force base, this research facility. So we're developing a solar array and a microgrid. So it's going to have a battery, and then just a big ass battery, like the size of a truck, that's actually just generating or charging, discharging all the time. All of that together is on land that's owned by the federal government, controlled by the Air Force, leased by a major university, and like the R&D facility that we're putting this at, that has its own bureaucracy because it's 4,000 people that are working at a top secret facility. So that's my most recent challenge. But it's fun, and
Dude,
everyone wants to get it done.
That is awesome. That project sounds amazing. I could just
That's
imagine
cool.
what you guys had to do with agreements to get things to even be mobilized.
Years of lawyers working on things, literally years. But we're moving forward now. We're going to get it built. Probably be early next year at this point, but it's moving forward. So
what size facility? Like what size plant are you guys looking to build?
So it's actually, the solar got smaller and smaller because they have super strict restrictions on their roofs, and they have all these crazy safety rules, and there's certain buildings that we can't even touch because they're so top secret. There's other ones that produce semiconductors where the whole building is actually suspended to avoid any shaking of the machine. So we ended up getting, it's 180 kilowatt solar, but it's a
180K system is still a nice size system.
And it's 2.5 megawatt hours of battery. So it's tons of batteries and a little bit of solar.
Wow.
It's kind of crazy, but it works.
That's awesome. Now, the large battery that you're talking about, just for our audience to know and everything, what's the internal guts of this battery,
Yeah, so actually, I don't even know if I told you, but now my latest thing, I'm really spearheading our efforts getting into energy storage. That's going to be the new big area for the grid, because we got to take all these gas plants offline. Gas is better than coal, but it's not sustainable, right? We can't have gas powering our planet forever because we're just going to have runaway climate change. So in order to transition to renewables, 100% renewables or even 50%, we need a new solution. It's really, energy storage has come of age. Everyone's got lithium-ion batteries in their pocket all day long, and in their laptop and in their cars now. And you can get them any size you want, the size of a truck, size of many trucks lined up next to each other. And so that's what this project is really all about. It's trying to balance the load so that this one, big ass facility here, it's smoothed out, and when the sun's not shining, they've also got other solar at the site. So when the sun's not shining, the batteries can be discharging and keep everything running, and hopefully that starts to eliminate the need for things like peaker plants, which are really, it's just a way of building a big ugly plant that sits there all year long and only runs like a few hours a year, and we're all paying for that. And when they do run, it's dirty as anything. And so that's the new thing. Get rid of the peaker plants and keep building more solar to get at the base load.
Dude, and I hope everyone was really listening in carefully what he was just talking about. The peaker plants. I never heard that terminology before, by the way.
Yeah.
Peaker.
I mean, how do you meet the grid's needs on the hottest day of the year when everyone's AC is cranking? Well, you got to have enough generation just sitting there waiting for that 1 hour, and that's what those plants are all about. And they get big contracts just to sit there for most of the year, and usually in neighborhoods where the people don't have a say about what goes in their neighborhood. There's a big economic justice issue there, and they produce dirty air when they are operating because they only have to operate a few hours. So
So it meets the annual emissions by that few hours of operation.
Right. Exactly.
Oh man. No, see, and it's so important for everyone to understand that. And this is great too, because I think we identified that solar is reliable. It's easy to maintain. And these commercial entities, you're 100% right though. The energy storage is where it's moving. I actually, on a little tangent, I came across a company down in Florida that was creating energy from heat storage, and they stored the heat through a vacuum, through vacuum pressure at its ultra critical boiling point. So it immediately it would bring the water temperature immediately to 800 degrees Celsius. So it maintains stability because it reached that ultra critical, and it pumps out energy. And they were using parabolic solar systems to convert that heat. It was pretty wild system too. I was pretty impressed. I was like, that's a technology that you don't see every day. And that heat battery powers a steam engine. That's where all the heat gets pumped into. Yeah. So the engine is providing the power. Very, very unique.
That's very cool. And thermal energy storage, I think, is really cool. It can be pretty old school, but it meets with sort of the grid edge, if you will, of like, now you've got internet controlled devices everywhere, right? And if you've got a million water heaters in a utility district, let's say, and you can turn the heat down a little bit for an hour on those when the grid is really peaking, it makes a huge difference. And there's a lot of companies now looking at that, looking at even just these big blocks of material. It could be concrete or stone or whatever, and you can heat it and cool it and use that to balance the loads too. So it doesn't have to be necessarily new technology. It's just using the technology in different ways.
Yeah, just repurposing. And that's why it's so cool. Yeah. It's Alex, we're going to be doing a lot of work together, man. I'm telling you, we're going to get back into new golden ages, because I think when so I know you put together a video for us. Are you cool if we share it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, sure.
All right, Steve, let's hit that video.
I didn't know you were doing the music too. So this is one of our installs. I think is a good example. We did a ground mount solar there.
Yeah.
Big solar field. They had this land they didn't know what to do with, and so we converted that to solar. We added solar to any of the buildings that made sense. You can see a bunch of the rooftops there.
Beautiful.
And then they have a huge parking lot, and so we're able to cover that, which we'll see in a second too. And I just love doing projects with schools because there's just so many, benefits. It's educational. There's a lot. It's a new technology people should understand, and you can learn about it having it right on your campus. Everyone wants to have a green campus, right? And saves them a ton of money, and it's going towards their mission. So it's great. So those are canopies there, big ass canopies. There's a lot of parking underneath there.
I could tell those cars look like ants.
Yeah. And then people park under it. The cars aren't broiling hot in the summer, right? And not covered with snow in the winter. So
how many panels are on the larger one there?
Oh boy. I don't know. It's 2.8 megawatts. And it might have flashed it up there a second ago, but it's thousands.
That's awesome. It's a great job. Wow. You guys did a beautiful job on this.
Yeah. I love the campus is, I think it's about half powered now by solar. So kudos to Stonehill to taking the leap. And I think it worked out really well. We're saving them a bunch of money, and they can be, they got their green cred that can go into the, there's a lot of books that kids looking at colleges now look at that rank all the colleges in their greenness, and
Yeah,
they're not just greenwashing. They're having a serious impact.
it really is. You know what I loved about it too, in this on the ground mount in the fields, it didn't destroy the integrity of the ground flora itself.
Yep.
You kept the grass. It's a lot of people think that by putting up solar systems, it would destroy the natural environment. But to which the angle that you're positioning it for the sun, it still allows ample light to still get in there for the plants and the native, the native environment to still thrive.
Well, I wish we knew what we know now when we built that, because now the thing is to make it pollinator friendly. So not just grass, but plant a lot of just natural wildflowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're talking to the bee guy. You know that, right?
I know. You're a bee master. I'd love that, but I'm serious. It's, pollinator friendly solar is the new thing that everyone's talking about for ground mounts.
100%. And I would love to talk to you guys about that too, because I have some cool little solutions that might tie in some habitat values. So we'll keep that on offline call.
Yeah, right.
So no, Alex, you guys did a beautiful job. Now, what is, out of all of your projects, I mean, what's the geographic radius that you guys are touching right now?
A lot of solar is driven by incentives. And so Massachusetts has great incentives. So most of our projects are in Massachusetts. We've got a bunch in Rhode Island. They've got okay incentives. A bunch in Connecticut. They've got okay incentives. New Hampshire's got nothing. And Vermont, I think we sort of missed the boat, but it's really more utility scale because it's all Green Mountain Power. They sort of run the show there, and they've done a bunch, but we didn't do any of those for them. So that's it. And we got a couple installations in Illinois, kind of a far jump, but our CEO grew up in Illinois, so he wanted us to plant our flag there too.
That is awesome. So now, all right, so you got this cool Air Force project going on. What are your targets for the next steps? I mean, what do you guys envision?
It's getting, more and more mainstream. And so it's working more places geographically. So, we've approved our model in, New England, let's say. And now I'd like to really see us grow geographically, and because of the commercial market isn't very widespread. There's not a lot of people knocking on doors telling companies how they can save money with solar, and it's not something that happens on its own. Companies, school districts, whoever, they're not seeking out solar. It's more you gotta go to them and show them
the value
how it works, show them the money, and so that's a lot of what we do. And so next step is really, to get it more geographically dispersed. So it's not just a dual coast sort of thing, get the whole country swinging.
But you're right though. It's so funny too, because even now, even how mature the industry is, if you go, it's just to, I mean, even for myself now too, I mean, there's been a major transition of manufacturers, of brands, of reputable brands too. We haven't yet identified the brands to be associated with and the reason of why. So I think that solar piece is a big piece that's really missing in the industry as a whole, providing that general low-level that low-lying fruit education to the general public of that brand marketing, which I'm very surprised about that it's not here yet. I was expecting to see like Jinko commercials on TV by now.
Yeah.
So come on, I think you need to put it out there. I think you need to create that, be that big brand that comes in and educates the public.
I think Kush has got to help us out then. Well,
yes. I told you we're gonna be having fun until we're old and gray and still never meet each other.
Right.
I am graying up pretty quickly though. My beard goes white now. My 4 kids kick my butt. So Alex, call to actions. All right.
Yeah.
You gave a great education on solar. You're showing, and everyone listening in too, Alex, he came into this industry at infancy stage before it really went to really commercial viability or commercial interest, we'll put it that way. And he's building these massive systems now. And it's going to expand energy and everything. You're listening to one of the greatest experts in this entire industry right now. So, and Alex, I'm honored that you joined me. I know you would anyway, just because it's me.
Oh, of course.
So call to action. Let's hit people with a high note. Like, let them hear from you as the expert of things that they could do and get involved with. And
so as I said, solar doesn't sell itself. People aren't seeking it out. So you gotta everyone's got to be involved in just getting a quote, right? Just get if you own your own home and you've got a decent roof on it, go get some quotes. Look into solar. Maybe it won't work out if you got too much shading, or where you are in the country, the utilities aren't friendly or whatever. But you won't know if you don't try. So you got to seek it out. You got to go get someone to take a look. If you don't own your own home, if you're in an apartment, you can get community solar. Look that up. They're all out there on social media. That's where you can basically take a portion of the solar electricity coming off of a field somewhere else. Some states allow it, some states don't. But that's another way to get it. If you know someone who owns a big commercial building or has a big plot of land that's not productive otherwise, get them to just go out there and get quotes. Look at solar. Look at wind in parts of the country is big. Everyone needs to be a part of trying to push that, and then everyone should be trying to push the policies too. We need more support to move faster, because it's commercially ready and it makes sense, but we need to move faster. We all recognize that. Like, we're going to hit 2 degrees Celsius and keep going and wondering what the hell's happening when it's 100 degrees out, right? So, like, we gotta
right now.
right. So we gotta go faster. You gotta help accelerate it, and you gotta push your politicians on that, because if we're not pushing, it's not going to happen.
I love it. I mean, dude, you hit the high points, man. People, just everyone out there, just get proactive, educate yourself around it, and become a voice, become an advocate of your community to want to push and see what you can do to build incentives. I think that's the biggest thing, is really the incentives that becomes a big driver in any local communities.
Yep. Yeah. Incentives drive it. I think on the scroll there, I've seen sierraclub.org come through a few times.
Yeah.
They're a great organization. Just, they promote all this stuff. They're sort of the rabble rousers that are doing the grassroots movements, that are knocking on the politicians' doors, that are doing the work that gets the politicians to get up and move on this stuff. So check them out. And
how long have you been?
They do great work.
How long have you been involved with Sierra Club?
Oh man, I don't know. Probably since college or before, which is too long ago to tell you.
Wow, that's great though that you've been part of them that long. So everyone, you see the link down below, sierraclub.org. If you want to name drop Alex Keally, name drop the guy. Alex, this is awesome, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show. What we're doing with Kush is we're turning Kush into also the acronym. So even though we are tied into the hemp industry, and pushing for a lot of values with hemp, because we can identify it with many sustainable values, we also turned it into an acronym of keeping us sustainably healthy. So what we're here to do is to provide that sustainable education and bring experts like you on board to just help educate the public on becoming a collective towards building a better and healthier future.
Well, that's awesome, man. I love what you're doing, and I think it's great. And It's I'm glad to be part of it. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. And yeah, I would love to let's build some education out there from what you guys are doing, and we could let's educate the world, man. Let's
That's
push
great.
them in the right direction.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
So Alex, thank you so much for joining us. Again, this is Alex Keally. He's a badass. I hope you guys saw the whole interview. If you didn't, go back to the beginning. It's definitely worth your time to watch. And I know you're in Cape Cod right now, so really enjoy your time, man, and just take in this summer as it is.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Enjoy the Poconos.
I'm going sailing tonight.
Good. Love it.
All right. Cool. Alex. All right. If do you have any last parting words? What do you want to leave people with?
Oh boy. I don't think so. Just again, thanks for having me. This is great. And keep doing what you're doing, man. It's awesome.
Cool. Thank you, Alex. Take it easy, man. I'll keep you posted.
Bye.